Welcome to my series where you ask questions about the Fae and Cryptids. Because until now, all the information out there is only from human experiences. So human POVs. And I'm doing my best to translate the Fae POVs and Cryptid POVs into a human POV so it makes sense to you. This is the second video in the series, and I'm going to read the question. If the Fae don't come from Earth, where do they come from? Could you explain why certain Fae don't get along? The reason why Fae don't come from Earth, this is for people that don't even know about this stuff, is because we are from Earth in a way, either that we are made for Earth with Earth products, if that makes sense, or we are made by another energy that is not of Earth, making Earth products with Earth products. The reason why this is important to understand is this is the next part. So, when Earth was created, even though it's always being created because all time is now, there is a dimension, that's what I call the places where this is still happening, where Earth was created, right? And when I say Earth was created, I mean the structure, the stuff that we recognize. So all the elements, plants, nature, all that stuff, right? So when that's happening, they basically are to balance and harmonize Earth, and they're different creations. So the first, from a human POV, the first time that, if we were going to look at it like a historical human POV version, the first time Fae even wanted to come to Earth was to come and see how it's like and to create things. And so they were coming and bringing kind of different plants and different things like that. And then there was a time when there was restrictions. I will put the two videos about, it's like Rhiannon and also Lilith video. I'll put them below. I think I can only post 4 of them on there. So have a look at the other ones if you need to find them elsewhere. But anyway, so when these restrictions happen with size of how energies, I guess, manifest or are on Earth and experience Earth, will be determined by the amount that can come through in all the different dimensions or in a soft spot or all these different things. And so when those were restricted, the Fae and beings that were, I wouldn't say they're huge, but they're pretty big. And when I say huge, I mean they hold all the memories and energy and stuff like that. And basically they're made of many beings, if that makes sense. You can also think of the computer analogy where there's a certain amount of storage on your computer, and only you can only do certain things based on how much storage you have, right? And so when they came, they weren't able to come as is, they were able to come as plants. And so you can think of it in a human way, you can think of it as beings coming and bringing plants to make a garden, from a different country. And there was some problems with this because if you think about it, when you bring plants, they don't always work together. And that's what cryptids are for, and also later animals were for. So, and again, these are, when I say later and all that stuff, that's for our understanding, but it's not realistic. It's still happening. There's still a dimension doing those specific things. So they help organize those things, and they help add the structure and how they work together. And there's so many different energies that work on this. The next stage that I talk about a lot, and there's a whole, if you guys are interested on my Patreon, there's a whole class all about the Fae, and one of the things that we talked about was that migration. I'm happy to talk more about that. If you're interested, leave that in the comments. And also, if you're interested in just any questions about the Fae and Cryptids, please ask them. I will get to your questions. I'm answering them as fast as I can. But yeah, so yeah, ask your questions. The series is based on your questions. So the next thing to understand is the migration. So there were energies, you can think of them on another planet, where the planets were not there was things that were not happy. Like they weren't able to practice their what they call magic freely, and magic is basically doing something from your energy, making something from your energy. And that, I know us, it's just normal, like that's what we do. But for them, they're like the beginning, they're the mother of that interaction. So they weren't able to do that on their planets. There was a lot of different things going on with them. And so you can think of them kind of like aliens, if that makes sense. And they migrated to Earth. So there were still some places on Earth that you can just, there wasn't really dimensions at this time, again, from our perspective. And so there was no like space restrictions and things like that. They can come as is, they could create as is, they could bring as is, they could do whatever they wanted, right? It was very free. But there are other energies that I touched on in a previous video that, again, I could go through, which they have relationships with what Fae are, and I don't think that they are the same thing, because in the minds of the energies of Earth and that, what's going on with that, they're kind of a nuisance. They are energies that are so huge. Like I used the example of water. They come and they basically fill the whole earth with water. And that's what, from our perspective, what we would think. But they also fill it with beings. There are all these different beings because they're so big. So the way that they translate into physical becomes all these beings. One of the most popular ones that I can talk about, because people talk about it, is the jinn. That is one of the physical little versions of when one of those energies came and took over the whole thing. And so those were not working, so they were put in different dimensions that can hold that energy and can keep doing that. And so those energies can still keep coming to Earth and it can still keep happening, but it's not affecting beings that need to have a balance. They need to have water and air and fire in the right places and not like taking over, right? And so all the beings needed this. So the Fae also help with this. Before the migration, this is like, we're going back again. Also at the same time, they help with the balancing of it. So, these are, again, we call them the pillars, and they make sure that those things are balanced and those energies are not like when the energies come through to, manifest in all the different dimensions, it will be just a little bit. It will come in like natural disasters and weather, and they will be working on those. But these are energies that have devoted their lives to this, this structure, right? So in a sense, those energies are not like a physical phase that we would talk about. They are basically what Tatum and I called pillars. They are the pillars and structure of nature. And so a lot of people, humans in the past, have made them into gods as well. Okay, now for where they came from. So kind of with what we just talked about, you can see where they came from. They came from other planets. And I'm being careful about talking about planets because in our other classes that, again, you can watch on Patreon, we talked about aliens and things like that. It gets complicated what other planets mean. It just means that they weren't created from Earth, and they don't exist based on Earth, if that makes sense. Humans, you can think of them as hybrids because they don't need Earth, but they do need Earth at the same time. So it's like a cross, because we stream. So you can think of them like aliens, but the creators of magic, if that makes sense. And all the ones that we perceive as Fae and think of in stories and stuff are the ones that are on this planet. Yes, some of those stories are out of this world and they actually are representations, and so we're trying to translate it. But a lot of the time it is the interactions that humans had with these beings on Earth. And that gets more complicated. Please ask about that if you do want to know more. Now, the reason why they wouldn't get along is because there are some of them are, like I said, working and helping with a lot of things having to do with nature, and they're very much for nature. And some of them aren't. Some of them are angry because they had to be put into those, oh, I forgot to put that part. They were put into the realm that fit, the side realm, to fit them in their spaces. So just like humans, they're very opinionated and they get upset, especially in close quarters. Like and follow for more. Join our live Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.